You should hear what keeps him up at night.
This is what keeps me up at night. I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. To keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one. This week on his radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, dude, call me woke as you want. I'm not for stupidity, but I am woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
Oh dear, he swore. He swore that'll win over the woke.
Greg didn't hold back, he lit it up. Stern's show, once wild and untamed, now drips with celebrity worship like a soggy napkin. Gutfeld didn't sugarcoat it, said it's like watching a lion neutered, and trained to fetch champagne for listers. The old Stern now is all the edge of a hotel lobby plant, and the interviews. Greg laughed what once rattled publicists now plays like soft promos for sequels nobody wanted. Stern the fire starter, now he's warming toes and chatting about candle scents. Greg joked if he got any cozier, the FCC would slap a PG rating for pure goo. But the real gut punch, the flip-flop, the man who mock virtue signaling now, leads the moral parade. Gutfeld called it performance penance. Stern drowning in over-apologies to rewrite his past. One more regret, and the Library of Congress might reserve a shelf just for his guilt.
But Stern being holed up in his house that long, it explains a lot of things, like how you forget how other people live, especially in hard times like a pandemic. For the longest time, 2 years in fact, the same time Stern's been AWOL, I wondered where he went. Not physically, but mentally. I bet you did too. Remember his screeds about COVID? They were epic and angry and not to...
It wasn't just the content that flipped, it was the swagger. Gutfeld torched Stern's new act, floating above it all like some smug life coach instead of the chaos king he once was. Greg didn't call it growth, he called it retreat. When the heat came, Stern didn't roar, he vanished, then pretended the fire was never his. Greg ripped into Stern's new addiction, approval. The rebel who once didn't give a damn now practically curtsies for the same gatekeepers who once shut him out. Gutfeld nailed it, a legend turned relevance beggar, even his fans. Greg joked they sound like a broken support group clinging to memories, but scared to say it out loud. He said tuning into Stern now is like watching your favorite punk band ditch the leather, go barefoot, and start a vegan smoothie brand on daytime TV. And then came the real twist, the political plunge.
Now remember, Stern used to throw bologna slices at strippers' butts. With accuracy, I might add. Now he's worried the possible leader of the free world can't handle his verbal foot rub. I wonder if he used to get this nervous for the strippers before he'd spank them on their bare asses with a dead fish.
Stick around, this heat's just getting started. Greg didn't hold back, torching Stern's shift from chaos agent to full-time morality cop. The guy who once had all sides now parrots trending outrage like a mouthpiece for Twitter mobs and cable news. Gutfeld said Stern didn't just pick a side, he leased out his spine, glazed it with smug, and drained whatever edge he had left. Watching Howard scold others for jokes he once cheered, Greg called it rich like an ex-spiro leading a fire safety seminar. The real sting. Stern didn't just cave, he converted. The rebel act is gone. Now he talks like he's onboarding interns at a podcast startup, and the star chasing. Greg shredded it, mocking the name drops, the flattery, the A-list obsession like Stern's angling for a cameo at the Oscars. Gutfeld said watching him now is like seeing an old fighter doing ballet. Smooth, maybe, but it's mostly just sad.
Here's my theory. Wokeism is a contagion. Stern got it from Jimmy Kimmel, his new best friend, and Kimmel got it from his wife, and his wife got it from where you get all infections, a toilet seat. Kat, I find that his definition of wokeism is very simplistic. I mean, it's like, it's not about COVID jab.
Let's cut through the noise. Greg didn't jab. He went straight for the gut. He questioned if Stern ever stood for anything real or if it was always just theater, dressed up as rebellion. Maybe he was never the truth slayer, just a shock dealer with good timing. And now, same tactics, different costume. The woke monk wagging a finger at the chaos he once unleashed. But Greg didn't call it growth, he called it a cover-up. Stern's not evolving. He is erasing, whitewashing the past with hashtags and carefully packaged guilt. Cowardice dressed as enlightenment. He didn't own his legacy, he ran from it. Then mocked the one still brave enough to live loud. The pivot wasn't brave, it was predictable. Because when rebels stop fighting, they don't just fade, they fold. And Stern, he got so desperate for praise, he forgot what made people lean in to begin with.
Stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated. Fuck them, fuck their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
Man, this guy makes Anthony Fauci sound like a Canadian trucker. But, maybe you should follow his next vaccine with a shot of Valium. But it's weird. He went from ridiculing the man to becoming him. No longer embracing rebellion, he French kisses regulation. He went from mocking a radio executive who was a rigid by-the-book a-hole that he named Pig Vomit to being Pig Vomit himself. He went from Howard Stern.
Greg leaned back, grin loaded. This wasn't comedy, it was an autopsy. He carved Stern down to a man so obsessed with guarding his legacy, he forgot how to earn it. Once the tip of the spear, Stern's now just the guy managing the VIP list. And Greg, nowhere near finished. As the room exhaled, he leaned in harder. Behind the fame, beneath the glitz, Stern hadn't just faded, he'd calcified. Predictability, the fatal flaw for a man who once thrived on shock. Greg nailed it. Stern used to keep you guessing. A live wire in a silent room. Now, you already know the punchline, the guest list, the canned outrage. Every moment feels test marketed, wrapped in moral tape, and blessed by the Church of Cable News. Greg quipped that Stern's takes are so routine, you could set your iPhone alarms by them. Recycled rage, reheated virtue, all served from a plush studio cocoon stuffed with ego, guilt, and preachy fluff.
Howard went from getting people to fart songs out of their butt to commiserating with the super wealthy about the evils of Trump, who was a guest on Howard's show many times. But I get it now. He's got new friends and they bring new views. It's celebrity peer pressure. But the fact that he hasn't left his house in 2 years means that his views are BS. He was in a happy self-imposed lockdown with everything. Mansion on the beach, limitless options for food and entertainment. That's not real life. That's a 2-year all-inclusive vacation at Sandals Royal Barbados.